Today we're taking a look at these NCAAF matches, which are happening on Thursday, October 21st, 2021, and giving you match breakdowns, betting tips and predictions in general on these games. Welcome back to High Stakes, let's get straight into it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos, and if you would like more betting tips and predictions, then check out our Patreon in the link down below. Our new Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. 5 plans are available for each and every one of you. You can get 30 extra betting picks all the way up to 270 extra betting picks per month. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting advice that ends up costing you a lot of money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks and advice. Florida Atlantic vs Charlotte. Leading the Owls offensively is senior quarterback N'Kosi Perry, who has looked pretty good this season as he has recorded 1,471 passing yards along with 11 passing touchdowns. In addition, he has recorded 4 rushing touchdowns as he has showcased his dual threat ability on a regular basis. Leading the 49ers offensively is senior quarterback Chris Reynolds, who has looked unstoppable this season as he has recorded 15 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns. In addition, he is completing 65.4% of his passes as he has been extremely accurate with the football. Our first betting advice is to pick Charlotte 49ers +7. Charlotte is 62nd nationally in total offense, averaging 405 yards per game. The 49ers running game this season is 51st in the nation, averaging 175 yards per game, led by senior running back Calvin Camp, who has 356 yards on 5.7 yards per attempt, with 3 touchdowns this season. Camp carried the ball 12 times against few with 66 yards and a touchdown. Charlotte is allowing 25.7 points and 445 yards per game on defense. The passing defense has allowed 223.3 yards per game, which is 6th in the conference, but they have the worst rushing defense in the conference and 7th worst in the country, allowing 222 rushing yards per game. The Owls are 35th in total offense on the season, averaging 442.5 yards per game, 33rd with 269.8 passing yards, and 53rd with 172.7 rushing yards. The foul offense is led by senior quarterback N'Kosi Perry, who spent the past 3 seasons as a member of the Miami Hurricanes. Perry has completed 60.4% of his passes with 11 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. In the most recent loss to UAB, Perry struggled, going 16 of 25 passing with 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions. Perry also ran for 22 yards and added a touchdown on the ground. Our second betting advice is to pick over 57. Louisiana vs Arkansas State. Louisiana has a pretty balanced defense that ranks tied for 45th in the nation in rushing yards per game and 78th in passing yards per game. Senior QB Levi Lewis, 1,305 yards 8 TD 2 int, leads the team, and while not putting up big numbers, he has passed for 5 TD and 2 ints over his last 3 games and has only been sacked once in each of the last 5 games. While Louisiana has a deep WR core, no player has more than 190 receiving yards. 3 players have at least 283 rushing yards, led by freshman Montrell Johnson, 335 yards 5 TD, who is averaging 5.7 yards per carry and rushed for over 100 yards in the last game. Arkansas State is all about the passing game, ranking 6th in the nation in passing yards per game, but 128th in rushing yards per game. The team has used 2 QBs in James Blackman and Lane Hatcher, and while Hatcher got most of the action in the last game and has 2 TD and 1 int, he only completed 44.8% of his passes. Corey Rucker and Tevalence Hunt each have at least 446 receiving yards, and Jeff Foreman has 355 receiving yards. Lincoln Pear leads the team with only 146 rushing yards, and he is averaging nearly 5 yards per carry. This game is not a good matchup for the Red Wolves, as the strength of the Louisiana defense in their pass D that ranks a legit 24th in the nation. Our first betting advice is to pick Louisiana -18. After starting the season behind Florida State transfer James Blackman on the depth chart, Hatcher is now the starter, having completed 62 of 108 pass attempts for 806 yards, 9 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, while adding 47 yards and a score on the ground in parts of 5 games. Rucker has reeled in 32 receptions for 497 yards and 7 touchdowns, while Hunt has added 30 catches for 446 yards and 3 scores. Kyvan Bennett is having a huge season for an otherwise struggling defense with 31 tackles, including 9.0 for a loss, 3.5 sacks and a pass breakup. The Ragin' Cajuns have been solidly above average on both sides of the ball, with the offense putting up 30.5 points and 408 yards per game this season. Opponents are averaging 21.2 points and 374.5 yards per game against the Louisiana defense, which has always been a strength in 4 years under head coach Billy Napier. Our second betting advice is to pick over 70. Quick reminder, BetUS is a platform that offers betting on all major sport and horse racing leagues. It has slots, table games, blackjack, and a variety of other casino games. All of the major US leagues are available for betting, including the NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB, and PGA. In addition, BetUS allows wagers on esports, Olympic events, soccer, cricket, boxing, cycling, and many more competitions. Join BetUS now using our link down below and get 125% cashback bonus on your first deposit on the sportsbook after you open an account and deposit using our link and use our promo code HIGHSTAKES. Tulane vs SMU. Tulane's offense cannot keep pace with what the defense is giving up, although the Green Wave is scoring an average of 32.8 points per game. Tulane averages 140.2 yards rushing and 258.5 yards passing per game. Quarterback Michael Pratt has completed 60.0% of his passes for 1,373 yards, 13 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Cameron Carroll has a team-high 272 yards rushing with a pair of touchdowns, and tight end Tyrick James has a team-best 343 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. SMU is 47th in the nation in points allowed, with an average of 22.2 per game. The Mustangs are allowing an average of 390.7 yards per game, including 138.8 yards rushing and 251.8 yards per game passing. Opponents are averaging 3.8 yards per carry and 5.7 yards per play against the SMU defense. The Mustangs' defense is led by linebacker Shane Hiley, who has a team-best 37 tackles. The leader in quarterback sacks with 4.0 is defensive end Gary Wiley, and the leader in interceptions with 2 is safety Isaiah Wacobia. Our first betting advice is to pick Tulane Green Wave plus 14. Through 6 games, Mordecai has thrown for 1,893 yards, with 26 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. He has thrown for at least 300 yards in back-to-back games and has taken just 1 sack through 6 contests. Ulysses Bentley IV leads the team in rushing at 7.4 yards per carry, with 405 yards and 2 touchdowns. A 6'2" freshman, Pratt has held his own under center in his second collegiate season. He has completed 60% of his passes for 1,373 yards, with 13 touchdowns and 5 interceptions this season. However, he's struggled over the last 3 games, throwing 6 touchdowns and all 5 of his picks during that span. Sophomore Cameron Carroll leads the team in rushing with 272 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Our second betting advice is to pick over 70.5.